He was full of energy. So we would buy him cars and action figures, and he'd just kind of look at them. He'd throw them away, put them back in his toy box, and come and find us to go play ball. So really had little interest in traditional toys.
Andrew Armstrong grew up as rambunctious as they come. In his early years, Jim Armstrong made sure he never missed a minute of the action.
It was the highlight of my day. So when I got to that ball field, I could have the worst day at work, get to the ball field, and everything went away, all my headaches, and I was ecstatic to be there.
Andrew's affection for athletics began at a young age, and it was baseball that gave him the butterflies.
I always wanted to be a professional baseball player, and that's all I did up to my 5th grade. I started basketball, and I just played basketball so I could get conditioned for baseball.
All the conditioning paid off as a teenager. At Cardinal Mooney High School in Youngstown, Ohio, Armstrong scored 20 points per game as a 6'2" power forward, and in the spring, he set the single-season school record with a .81 ERA as a pitcher.
We just were certain that he was going to be a Division I baseball player, and then he found football and fell in love with the game, and everything kind of changed.
What the Armstrongs didn't know is if it would be changed for the better, but Andrew quickly put those questions to bed.
High school football is one of the greatest times of my life.
Despite having just 3 years of playing experience, Andrew received 12 offers from Division I football programs. He chose Syracuse University, where he's in line to take over next season for Zaire Franklin, one of the best linebackers in the ACC.
I envision myself starting, becoming an all-ACC linebacker, winning an ACC championship, and hopefully being able to go to the NFL one day. That's my ultimate goal and dream.
At SU, Armstrong is poised for success, but back in high school, he believed his college career was over before it ever began.
I would hydrate, eat healthy, and I just not feel right. I feel sluggish and tired.
December 2013, Andrew's junior year. Jim began to notice changes in his son's behavior.
I started urinating a ton throughout the night, like 4 or 5 times, getting up and going to the bathroom. And my dad noticed that, and he's like, "That's not right."
Concerned for their son, the Armstrongs paid a visit to the doctors.
Once all the results came back, they put him in an ambulance during an ice storm, and Dawn and I had to follow the ambulance about a 45-minute drive to Akron, Ohio, and then we were there for 3 days.
That night, Andrew's life changed forever. He entered the Akron Children's Hospital with his blood sugar levels 4 times higher than average. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 16.
It was a complete shock. I really had no idea what type 1 diabetes was before I got it.
When I look at Andrew, I still see my little boy, So of course, as a mom, I want to protect him. But, when he got diagnosed, I guess the main thing is just we were there for him and he knew we loved him.
Really didn't register at first and I thought it's got to be a mistake, and it was just completely shocking to us.
You have an internal organ, it's called your pancreas. Your pancreas secretes insulin. Okay, so for you, your pancreas, anytime you have sugar that you ingest, your pancreas takes care of that. For type 1, we kind of don't get that opportunity.
Tim Pike understands the struggles Andrew has faced since his diagnosis. Pike has type 1 diabetes as well.
It is a dangerous thing, and they can pass out, they can do things. But even beyond that, you got to take ownership of this.
Nearly 30 million Americans have diabetes, but less than 1.5 million have type 1. While in many cases, type 2 can be resolved with diet and exercise, type 1 is genetic, with no known cure. Faced with this reality, Andrew had only 2 thoughts.
One, could I play sports still? And the second was, I'm fortunate that this isn't a more serious disease like cancer.
It took us months, actually, to kind of get over the initial shock, and it was a constant worry for us. We were afraid we'd hurt him, or he'd hurt himself with needles. On the flip side, Andrew handled it very well, and he wasn't remotely worried about it.
Doctors told the Armstrongs Andrew could still play sports under the condition that he carefully monitored his blood sugar. Initially, that concept was difficult to wrap his mind around.
I was kind of upset, because I was like, yo, I can't eat pizza no more or cake. And they're like, well, you can, but you just gotta take insulin.
But since then, Andrew's managed his diabetes rather impeccably, almost as if he had picked up another sport.
You know, I realized that this was something I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life unless they find a cure. I accepted that, and I understood that it's gonna be part of my life now, and I can't dwell on it. I gotta get over it, and you know, make the most out of it.
It's a part of his life that's given Andrew purpose. His diabetes is a divine commission, one he's committed not to waste.
I think I was diagnosed for a reason. I think God diagnosed me to inspire other kids with type 1 that, you know, if they follow their dreams and work hard, they can still accomplish what they want to do, even with this disease.
No matter what he does, he's going to be a successful kid because he just doesn't allow circumstances to dictate who he is and how he's going to do things. You know, he just is not a product of that.
Watching him grow up and seeing the man that he's become, he's so kind and generous and has a great sense of humor, smart, strong, everything. He's turning into a wonderful person.
It's just astounding, and how well he's accepted this challenge in his life. Donna and I say all the time, we're extremely proud of him, and he motivates us.
A purpose that extends beyond the end zone. A purpose worthy of pursuit. Chris Venzon, ACC Extra.